Yeah, we ready, we ready. This is for the warriors. Blood on the mat, sweat on my skin. I've been fighting for a win, don't need no gimmick. When the lights go down and the crowd starts to roar, I'm coming for the belt, man, I'm coming for more. The struggle's real, but the hustle's heavy. This ain't a game, it's a fight for the ready. We fight through the noise, breaking down walls. Every time we fall, we rise, stand tall. They talking, they hating, but we keep moving. Ain't no stopping the crowd, we choose it. Through the blood, through the pain, we're living for the glory. Through the hurt and the shame, we fight through the noise, can't hear a thing. We making our moves, we own everything. Wrestling through pain, breaking all chains. This is our world, and we taking the reins. Rise up from the ashes, rise from the dirt. From the first bell ring to the final hurt. We fight through the noise, we won't be ignored. This is our story, we're taking the floor. Through the ropes, through the climb, we don't quit. Ain't no fear when you're fighting with grit. Body slam, then we stand, take the blow. A real champ knows when it's time to grow. Tearing up the ring, tear up the doubt.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the OGs tonight. And I just want to start by giving our condolences to the people of Texas and our love and our prayers for healing. It's going to be a long fight, but Texas is a tough state. They are chipping in. They are getting together. There's a lot of volunteers. My girlfriend, I'm very proud of her, was there volunteering yesterday and today. It's a horrible situation. There's 170 plus missing. Right before she came home tonight, they discovered a body right where she was. And she's a disaster. She's a mess over it. And it's a horrible, horrible tragedy. So many children, so many people. And I just want to say that before we get started tonight, that our prayers and our love is with them, the victims, their families, those missing, the first responders, the volunteers. They need our prayers. So with that, Texas strong. Let's get the show rolling. It's been a heck of a week, guys.
Who has it?
Been a heck of a week. I've got there's
Can
so
everyone hear me?
Yes.
much.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Vinny. Yeah, same to you, man. I thought of something today regarding the Texas thing, and a lot of people jumped on Trump about cuts to the National Weather Service that turned out to not be true. They were actually overstaffed in that particular department. And I was mad at people who were blaming Trump, but I thought of something. When there was wildfires in LA, people blamed Gavin Newsom. They blamed Karen Bass. I did too. And the thing is, I don't know if it's so much a partisan thing as a we want to blame somebody thing. We have this need to blame somebody, and it bleeds over to our regular life, right? If something happens, we have this need to blame somebody, to put the blame somewhere because we need it to make sense. We need to say, no, this shouldn't have happened. It was this guy's fault, because we can't wrap our minds around how something so tragic can just happen. But it does. And these are acts of God. And we always want to blame somebody. I'm not going to sit here and say Biden was president, Pete Buttigieg was the transportation secretary, and things happen, and you stick the blame.
It's easy to blame someone just to pick someone out.
Yes. So it flooded in 1987. 10 people died. My girlfriend was young back then. She lives right there. She literally lives right in this area. And so here's what I will say. I thought about this week. Year after year, the same place in California has wildfires pretty much, right? Year after year. And then there's these places that correct, and we don't believe they're dead. They're always faking it. And there's these places that get hurricanes. Every 20 years your house gets washed away, right? There's places in this country where you can't find a house that's more than 50 years old. This place in Texas is one of them. New Orleans is another one. Those places in the fire country in Los Angeles, in that area is another one. East Coast, Florida Keys, for example. You're not going to find a house in any of these places that's more than 50 years old. And I think to myself, maybe God is trying to tell you that we don't have to inhabit every square inch of land. That maybe there are some places where human beings are not supposed to be. Right? That's reserved for nature, it's reserved for whatever. But that humans are not supposed to be there. We keep rebuilding these things, and tragedies keep happening. This river will flood again. Might be 40 years from now, but it's going to flood again. It's going to be catastrophic again. And people are going to die again. And you have to wonder at a certain point, do you stop rebuilding? And this is a wrestling show, and I apologize for bringing this in here, but I'm not putting the blame on anybody for rebuilding. I understand the desire to rebuild. Is there a point where you say, maybe don't rebuild here? Go ahead. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I mean, certainly possible, but I mean, really, yeah. I mean, like you said, it's not just there; it's like all over the place. People just keep rebuilding, rebuilding. All the stuff gets washed away. It's like we're going to rebuild. Okay, but then the next time it washes away, or there's a fire, rebuild.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about places that have something every 100 years, 150 years. You're like, well, I'm telling you, there's places in this country where you can't find a house that's more than 50 years old because they got to keep rebuilding. And you would think at some point that's a clue to maybe stop rebuilding, right? I don't know. I want to talk about something that can't be rebuilt.
Okay.
And we're going to get, by the way, to some hobby stuff here too, because there's some funny stuff going on in the hobby.
I wanted to say something.
The hobby, fuck the hobby.
Yeah, that's probably another idea. That's probably another good idea.
I was just gonna say this about like the flooding and everything else. All these disasters that have happened, it's sad to see, and to me, it's from a higher power.
Absolutely.
And, there's a saying, the good die young, which is sad to say. But it's like, there's nothing like... It's sad to say this right now, but like, when it's... The person upstairs decides when it's time for everybody to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's nothing you can do to stop that. And that's the worst feeling you can get when you see stuff like this happen.
Yeah. It's hard, especially hard when it's kids. When it's kids, it hits you in a different place because they had no chance to live their life. But maybe, listen, I'm not going to tell these parents that there's a bright side, because there's not. I think about maybe the horror in this world that they didn't have to live through, and maybe that ultimately is a blessing. Nobody knows what God's reasons are. He sees things in a place where we don't see them. So, but we would have been remiss to not talk about this tonight, and I just felt like maybe you guys had something to say, and you did, and I think we all just been watching the news and just praying, praying. 170 people missing. I don't like the prospects with 111 dead right now. I don't like the prospects. Moose, did you have anything to add? Nothing. This doesn't affect that you touched your life in any way.
I it's sad. Like I'm not gonna downplay the sad factor that it has on people, but it's just it's I hate to say this, but it's life. Like life happens and things happen, and
No, it's true.
unfortunately we can't control everything in life. And when stuff like this happens, you kind of got to sit back and go, okay, well, is this what was supposed to happen? I don't know. Like I don't really watch the news. Like I stay up on it because like I work in the cable industry. I pay attention to enough of it. But it's sad.
It is sad. And, yeah, like Vinny just said there about 9/11, people still insist it was a missile at the Pentagon. I know people that work there as well. It was a plane. Um, but I think, again, what you just said is, we can't control it, right? And that's the reason I think we rush to blame somebody or some agency or what have you. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but back to wrestling, a disaster,
Awesome.
a disaster that can be controlled. I actually wanted to start with this tonight because I just got this. This makes no sense to me. So on a media call today, Tony Khan gives clarification on the Omega and Okada winner take all match. The international and continental titles are not retiring. The lineage of these two titles will be intact after All In. Winner could even carry all three belts, including the Unified Championship. Continental Classic will be back in November again. Now, if this is true, and Tony Khan said it, so I assume it's true. What the hell's the point of this match, and why are you calling it a Unified Championship when the other two belts will still exist? And the only thing I can think of is Tony Khan wants to have as many belts as possible, and also, I think he did intend to combine them, but like a kid playing with toys, he just changes his mind and then does that thing. And there's no rhyme or reason because he doesn't have a wrestling mind. He has a I'm a little kid playing with toys mind, and he changes his mind on a dime.
And honestly, it could change before Saturday again.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the reason for the match. It's Okada Omega on American soil. It's a big deal. Like I'm gonna miss the entire event because I have to freaking work. And all of that, but this I really don't like how they created the title and made it seem like a winner for all.
It says unified.
Yeah, it's like what? Why are you going to unify a title? Like, why unify a title and then have another tournament for one of the titles?
It's unified, but the other titles still exist. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, wait, that wasn't what I wanted. Here we go. Yeah, I was going to say this is what it reminds me of. Remember when Roman was given the one belt, but then Heyman still carried around the other two, and it was like, well, wait, this represents both of these together as a unified thing, but you're still carrying the other two. Are they
And how is it unified?
And eventually they just dropped the other two and just had the one. So
Here's what's sad is I actually could believe that, Vinny. You're saying that, and I'm sure it's a joke, but it might not be. You know what I'm saying? Like I can believe that.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
The
Here. Vazul.
The thing is that he's a child playing with toys, and like a child playing with toys, he doesn't really have a vision past today. Tomorrow, his vision could be different. I want to say something too about the hobby. I want before I forget this. You're going to see a number of viewers here tonight. And when the show's over, maybe we have 100, maybe we have 200. I don't know what it's going to be tonight. Here's what's not going to happen. What's not going to happen is as I'm watching it in real time, within 1 minute, the numbers aren't going to jump from 200 to 1,700. And then have a host try to convince me to believe that 1,500 people from the international audience all decided to tune in at the same time, like they're having some kind of watch party for our show. And I say that because I'm not going to name the show. I like the guys involved in the show. I really do. I don't believe in the fake it till you make it thing. We're all struggling little wrestling podcasts. And ultimately, if it makes you feel good to spend a couple bucks and pay for some views, great, but you don't have to. Like, we all know you're doing it. Like, we can see it in real time. It's not like we woke up the next morning and they were there. We happened to be watching, me and somebody else happened to be watching at the time the number shifted, and we got screenshots of the time, like, so you can see. And it went from like 200 to like 1,700. It looks stupid. And to try to sell it to people that you're not buying views is stupid. Just enjoy what you have, right? Just have a good time. We're all just having a good time here. So that's just a word of a wise that you're wasting money and it's stupid and nobody's impressed because we all know what you're doing. It's a shame. The downfall of AEW has to be studied. SMH, I loved AEW. I loved AEW too for the first like few months.
I don't consider this like their downfall because they've been doing so well. Like they've scaled things back. They've ran the smaller venues. Yeah, they probably had to black out some seats in some of them, but when they're understanding what they can do, I think the last few months they've been doing really well. I'm excited for All In. I'm excited for them to do this show, but to call it a downfall, I mean, people have been
I agree with you. Downfall happened years ago.
Yeah, and this is kind of a rebuild over the last year or so.
I still think it sucks.
Well,
But
I think he just means a downfall in general. Like, because remember, at one point they were able to sell out 20,000 and 30,000 seat arenas.
Yeah,
And they went down to maybe if they could get 2,000, they're lucky. You know, that's
here's
a pretty big fall.
Here's what changed. Cody Rhodes went to WWE, and with him went all the booking knowledge, all the mind, because the Young Bucks are not bookers. They know how to book themselves in the main event. They know how to book themselves in the hot spots, but they're not bookers like Cody Rhodes is a booker. That's in his blood, and there's a big difference there. And I think they lost a lot when they lost him. Yeah, exactly.
Well, with the unified title, here's my issue with this. Why create a unified title if you're just going to keep all three belts? Why not just keep both belts?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's meant to signify who's better between Omega and Okada.
Did you help for that?
Don't forget, this is the company that made a Texas Chainsaw Massacre match belt. For one,
and they put Tony Khan in Leatherface's gear.
Yeah, so there you go.
I mean, it is what it is. It's gonna be silly. It's gonna be whatever. I'm excited for Saturday. We've got All In. We've got Saturday night's main event. Goldberg.
Can we all agree that the biggest problem AEW has, the biggest obstacle to success they have, just so happens to be the guy that owns the company, and so it's almost impossible to get around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joey, you know baseball, right?
yeah.
Tony Khan is the Peter Angelos of wrestling. You remember Peter Angelos with the Baltimore Orioles until he said, "All right, I'll step aside and let baseball people run this thing." The Orioles sucked because he kept getting involved. That's Tony Khan.
Well, like AEW, you know, like I've said this. I mean, we just said it right now. Like, well, I thought, you know, when Cody left, it took the heart, you know, boom. Because when AEW first started, we were buying the figures. We were buying those.
At the first, like, 4 series.
Toy belts, like their pay-per-views were hot. We were like, man, they're putting on a better pay-per-view product than WWE.
Get together on Discord and watch it, all of us together, yeah.
And, you know, we would be like, man, they're putting on better product than WWE. When Cody left, it shifted a little bit. But you also have your AEW fanboys. You have WWE fanboys as well. You know, they're like, it feels like the Monday Night Wars, but I gotta say, man, it's not even close to a Monday Night War.
No, I would say if you lived through the Monday Night Wars, it doesn't touch.
Now, do I want AEW to succeed? Yes, of course I do, because more competition is better. More wrestling, you know, is better. I mean, I know Tony, it's funny because I was reading some on that same media call about Tony Khan, because I think Mercedes Moné said, I have creative control. And Tony Khan said, "I'm the only one. It's my show. I'm the only one that has creative control through the whole
That's interesting.
show. I'm the one who books it. I'm the one that calls it." So
I mean, if she does have creative control, that would explain why she doesn't lose ever.
that's why people were like trying to figure out, like, will she? I mean, I hope she loses to Tony Storm this Saturday. But
If they put Mercedes over Tony, it's just a hey, good for you. In my like, I don't mind Mercedes. I think she truly loves wrestling. I think she's somebody who truly enjoys her profession.
The problem is that she thinks she's the greatest female wrestler to ever live, and she's not even close. She's not even close.
She's still in that after. I call it the afterglow of WWE, to where you are, and she's ridden a pretty high horse after WWE once she got healthy. And I think it's just that afterglow that hasn't worn off for whatever reason, and I get it. Like she's an attention grabber. She gets people to look at things and to watch women's wrestling.
She's a great heel.
Yeah, she's amazing at being a heel. But I don't think that she can really be that staple. Like Tony Storm is one of those people who is really coming to her own,
hitting on all cylinders right now.
Post WWE. Yes, yeah. Is her character a little cartoonish? Is she a little over the top? Does she kind of ad-lib some stuff? Yes.
She literally stole the Timeless thing from my friend, and I mean with the vignettes and everything, just copied him, lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah, she took Crowbar's thing, and she did it. And I love Crowbar. Chris is a good dude, but she's done it, quote unquote, better.
I don't think so. I think she just did it.
I say quote unquote better, because she has a machine behind her.
She did it more famously because she has the machine. And he doesn't do it anymore because he doesn't want to be accused of copying her, which is so ridiculous, right?
And you see that more often than not. You'll see wrestlers on the independent scene doing stuff, and people from the big time will see it and do the same shit. But because they have a big machine behind them.
Yeah. Mike, your thoughts?
I don't know. I listen. I've been watching Toni Storm since her NXT days.
Oh, I've been watching her.
Yeah, and obviously it's a massive change. But I actually like the Toni Storm character. It's one of the few things I do like about AEW. Honestly, she ran with that and she rolled with it. And you know what? I really do hope she beats Mercedes, because Mercedes is getting to that point where people are gonna get sick of her. She's gonna go into what I call Charlotte Flair territory, where people are like in her and or are behind her and all this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, she gets to the point where it's so insufferable that they're like, "F you."
You could also get them into Honky Tonk Man territory, right, where people bought tickets just to see if he would lose.
She's gonna have go away heat.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
I think, like, I was a big fan of Mercedes Moné when she was Sasha Banks in NXT. Loved her. The work she did in NXT, amazing. When she got to the main roster, she was injury prone, so she kind of fell out. But when she walked down on WWE with Naomi, it felt like she thought, like, I'm a bigger star than this.
Yes.
And it's hurting her bad.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think it's her gimmick. I think she believes that shit, which brings me to my next topic. Our next topic.
Well, before you do that, though, I got to address something, because I have a message and I feel the need to address this. So I was asked, why is my nickname tonight Smurf Tits Mikey?
Yes.
So this is a story that must be told. This is a story that will live in infamy. This is a story that you should pass along to your children, your grandchildren, through the generations.
I'll answer this, Matt. Just hold on.
And you can blame Carmine for this. We're on the phone today. We're having a conversation, and he asks me a very simple yet complicated question at the same time. Is it in fact true that they, whoever they are, call me Smurf Tits? Now,
Pronouns, pal.
first of all, the fact that this even crossed your mind just proves the amount of demented fuckery that's going on in your head. That's number one. Number two, I literally had to answer that as truthfully as I can. I said, to the best of my knowledge, no, but I cannot guarantee that there is not one person in this entire world that has never at some point looked at me and said, he's Smurf Tits.
Is this the man who asked you?
It's what?
Is this the man who asked you?
No.
Oh.
So, I felt in honor of Carmine and his wonderful legacy of Smurf Tits that should be my name tonight.
It was a good question, I thought. And I'll tell you this. I wanted to say this to Joe before we get into the next topic, which is, Joe, I understand that sometimes the snow comes down in June. I'm not sure where that is. But sometimes the sun goes around the moon. Vanessa Williams is a damned liar. If the sun ever went around the moon, we'd all be dead. The earth would literally fall into the sun at that point and collapse. The sun has never gone around the moon.
But I feel the passion in your heart. I feel the passion in your heart. You always save the best for last.
Yes. I see the passion in your eyes. Sometimes it's all a big surprise, but
I see the lust in your eyes.
I'm just saying, guys, if the sun in fact went around the moon, the earth would have got swallowed by the sun. Vanessa Williams fucking lied. A bold-faced lie. Any award she got for that song, the money she made, it should all be taken away because it was a damn lie. And the snow doesn't come down in June unless you're in another part of the world.
Well, so technically that's possible. Okay, Antarctica, up north.
But that's what I'm saying, unless you're in another part of the world. But she's singing in America, and there's no
Alaska.
How do you know that? How do you know she's singing America?
Couldn't it be a metaphor for something?
It's not a
Why
metaphor.
can't it be a metaphor? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but it sounds like a metaphor.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't sit here and exchange song lyrics with fucking Charlie Brown all day.
I'm just saying.
You have no idea where that song was recorded. You have no idea what the context of that song was. For all you know, she thought about when she was in northern Canada. You don't know that.
She could have been in Greenland.
According to Google AI,
there we go.
Yes, the snow can and has fallen in June. In the United States, though, it's rare.
Let's see.
It's more common in higher elevations, particularly in western states like Montana, Colorado, and California, especially in the Rocky Mountains of Sierra Nevada. Okay.
Maybe she was in Colorado when she was writing that song.
Yeah, see?
But you got to
be... baby.
Okay, how about this?
There we go.
What would happen if the sun went around the moon?
There we go. We're all waiting with bated breath.
Maybe she's talking about her sunshine going away, going behind something and getting blotted out. Metaphors, baby. Sorry, on an Adam Cole kick right now.
Also, I'd like to point out that our solar system actually does go around like it within our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. So it's possible maybe there's a moon somewhere there where the sun actually did go around the moon because the solar system went around that particular object at some point.
That's not what she's talking about.
Yes. You don't know what she's talking about. Were you there when she wrote the...
Were you in the studio? Were you with her?
What would happen scientifically? It violates the laws of physics.
Yeah.
It violates the laws of physics.
Uh-huh. Did you put a stamp on on a leather that you were making when you...
If we imagine it anyway, the solar system would collapse. Earth would be doomed. Without a sun as a stable center, Earth's orbit would go haywire. Light and heat would be widely unstable. We'd be dead. This would make life impossible.
Okay, but again, I gave you a scenario where it could be possible.
But it doesn't. It doesn't. The sun has never gone around the moon.
No, who says she's talking about our moon?
Or our sun.
Around the moon. The moon could be anywhere.
She could be an alien.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just saying, it's a lie.
Well,
So
no. You decided to die on this hill, and we're just saying to you that you could potentially be wrong.
if the sun went around any moon,
But
We
they don't know if we're talking about this sun. They don't know if
You
we're
got
talking about this moon.
We understand that the sun literally can't go around the moon, you fucking
then
frittata.
she lied.
But I swear to God, let's get back to wrestling. I don't care if she lied.
Get back to
They
the
all
topic.
lie.
And why
Also,
does it bother you so much? What's so personal about it?
and I'll leave this here, but also, over 40 years ago, Rat said, "Round and round, what comes around goes around. I'll tell you why." And they've never told us why. It's
Because
been
they don't
40
have
years.
to. They don't have to.
He promised. He promised to tell us why, and he never did. He's a scumbag.
Okay, so there was a question about counter programming. It's not
Yes.
counter programming. It's really not. All in's on at 3:00 in the afternoon. They'll be done by like 6, maybe
Hopefully.
7, depending on how long it is. And then Saturday night's main event swoops in at 8:00. It's a full day of wrestling.
But let's also talk about the fact that WWE doesn't have to see you as competition to want to crush you anyway. They've done it to indie companies. Okay,
WWE apparently talked about how AEW is going to be somewhere in Pennsylvania on NXT. Like they announced that AEW would be at a place before them, but like they don't care. Like the whole counter programming thing that we all experienced back in the golden era will never happen again.
Nitro was on the same time as Raw, same time.
Well,
Yeah. The fact is, just when I thought our chance had passed, you went and saved the best for last.
oh my God, the song lyrics.
I'm just saying. Now,
How is life in 1988 right now?
great, bro. Much fucking better. So,
Although I think that song actually came out in the 90s. But
who cares?
Whatever.
Let's talk about something else, which is the Evolution pay-per-view. Now, you talk about women's wrestling. You talk about Mercedes Moné. This is the second Evolution pay-per-view, and it's the second failure of an Evolution pay-per-view. And here's the reason, guys. It's not a big secret. I'm going to let you in on the knowledge that I have. Nobody wants – hey, this is controversial. It shouldn't be. Nobody's going to pay money to watch women play a man.
It's not a pay-per-view. It's a PLE. It's
I
going
don't
to be
care
on
what it is.
Peacock.
I don't care what it is. Nobody cares. The tickets aren't selling. And I'll tell you why, you bearded bastard. Because unlike people like you and Mike Jones who would watch two squirrels wrestle over a peanut, people
Pretty
don't
interesting.
people don't want to see this. Women's wrestling is the potatoes. You understand what I'm saying? You have pork chop dinner, whatever you have. Women's wrestling is the potatoes. Not quite the parsley, but it's the potatoes. I have a little potato, maybe a steamed carrot. Maybe it's just steamed carrots.
So it's so potato as in side dish, but not potato as in stiff.
It's not correct. It's not the main course. It is nobody wants to see a oh, but Shimmer did it. Shimmer had arenas that like hosted 1,000 to 2,000 people. You want to do that? Knock yourself nuts. You're not selling 15, 20,000 seats to watch wrestling unless somehow you get Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in a match. You'd sell that shit out. No, this is Stephanie McMahon's vision. She tried it with her dad. Her dad said, let's give it a shot. It failed. Now she pressured her husband, in my opinion. All right, Steph, let's do it. It's going to fail. Can we stop with this experiment? No matter how much you push the women, people don't fucking care. It's the reason that unless Caitlin Clark's in the game, you can't sell WNBA tickets. The women's football
Billy
league,
Kidman?
The women's football league never was succeeded. Nobody wants to see women play baseball. This is not. This is a man's world. This is a man's world.
Okay, James Brown.
Well, I do know that I think as of this past, I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday, what day I saw it, like the place was maybe at best 20% to have tickets sold.
It's going to be a disaster. And let me tell you something. I would watch a women's pay per view. I would, or a PLE or whatever. I would watch it if, in fact, that women's event was like a bake off. The bake off, I watch it. All right. If it's mud wrestling, I'm there. If it's how quick can you make a sandwich, I'm tuning in.
Okay. Hey. So WrestleTix, which is a pretty good source.
It's not.
It's all right. Has the available tickets at, and I don't know how old this is. I just Googled it real quick 3 days ago. They have available tickets at $15.78. Available combo tickets at $270. So I'm guessing combo between Saturday nights and Evolution at $270. The current setup is for $66.52. And they've got and tickets distributed are 4,804.
It's a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah, they've obviously got to black it out. They've obviously got to cut down.
Why would you book a 20,000 seat arena for something nobody wants to watch?
Because they've already paid for it.
How many more clues do you need that people do not want to watch a professional wrestling women's show? You know what? You want your proof? Put a show, an all-women's show, on UPN or something like that, and watch it fucking fail. People don't want to see.
UPN doesn't even exist.
Whoever, I don't care. Like I said, women's strip show pay-per-view, gonna sell out. Gonna be great.
So wait. Even
how
if
long can they talk on the phone without hanging up? I'll tune into that shit.
So even if they sell out at whatever 6,000, whatever some seats, there's still going to be 14,000 empty seats in that.
I mean,
correct.
Well, more than half.
A lot.
More than half.
I mean, you could have did it at Full Sail University where they hold NXT. Or you could have held it in Saudi Arabia. Maybe people would have showed up.
No, you can't hold it in Saudi Arabia because they're not coming to see women in Saudi Arabia.
They may.
You know where a woman's pay-per-view would have sold out? And I'm not going to get into the details on this, but Mike knows. India.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have sold out a women's pay-per-view in India.
You would not have been able... Yeah, you could have filled the 20,000 seater in India.
Easily.
And here's the thing, like, with this pay-per-view... Because, like I was saying earlier, you got your AEW
PLE pay-per-view is dead.
Like, you have your, AEW fanboys, Dirt Sheet Radio, not going to say, they're AEW to the hardcore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, this event's not selling well. We told you, man. WWE's failing because they can't. It's a women's pay-per-view.
Dude, they had someone the other day, like, is this the year AEW takes over WWE? I mean, you got to laugh at the stupidity of that. But listen, I don't think TKO is going to take a bath just to prove that, hey, we're woke and we've got women's wrestling. I think this is hopefully, the last fucking experiment to this evolution bullshit that you're going to see. There is no evolution. It's not evolving. People, listen, this is as far as women go. Great. You got a big piece of the puzzle. You got some great wrestlers, some great matches, 1 or 2 matches a night. That's all you need from the chicks.
You'll have some legends appear. You'll have some wrestlers from TNA appear, make it a good show.
The best place for women in wrestling is at ringside as a valet. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Put a little skirt on them. Bikini top. You prance them around. Maybe they hold up a ring card.
Prom panties match?
Yeah, that's the place. That's the place. Listen. There's never been a women's match in wrestling that was more than 2 people in a match that wasn't a fucking train wreck. 90% of your women's singles matches are fucking train wrecks. I'm being honest. The problem with the world today is people don't want to be honest. I'm being honest. Women's wrestling sucks. It's always sucked. It will always suck. There are some women's wrestlers who are very gifted. I could watch Bayley wrestle all day. I
have somebody from
Natalia wrestle all day.
Maybe we have somebody watching from India that could say if they want.
India. Here's the thing: India is the horniest country on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that by how we advertise our programming and how we advertise our channel. And we could promote that there's a comet heading straight towards Earth to kill all of human existence. We'll get 10 likes from India. We post a hot chick up on that page, thousands of likes, and they're all from India. So it is, in my opinion, the horniest country on Earth. That's not a fact. I don't listen. Here's the thing:
It's
I
Friday.
don't want to see two women punch each other in the face. I don't
We
want to
got
see
a good
women
boxing fight this Friday of two women.
You know, I know. I don't want to see two women bleed. Listen,
I ain't got time to bleed.
you get them in a slap boxing match, pillow fight. I'll tune in.
Carmine wants Foxy Box back.
When that's going down, I'll be down in the Baja.
In the Baja. If they have like a nude women's wrestling pay-per-view, they're not. It's so scripted and so choreographed and so cringe. Hey, I have an idea for a spot. Let's all stand here and wait for about 15 seconds
They got some good wrestlers on WWE.
for this 140-pound woman to jump on us, and somehow this 140-pound woman is going to knock us all down. It's so fucking stupid.
I'll
It's so
tell you,
stupid.
Joe is right. There are some good women wrestlers in WWE, but the
Yes.
problem is like you said, when they have these multi-women matches, is where it all falls apart. Watch any Money in the Bank match. Watch like any of the you could see the step, ooh, jump. You could see the step, ooh, kick. It's like it's not. It doesn't flow as good as the men do when they have multi-men match.
Because the problem is women aren't trained, I believe, in the same way. And so women don't know, because they weren't taught, it's not their fault, how if you fuck up a spot, right, then you just move on to the next thing and you play it by ear and call it in the ring. Women can't do that. Everything is super, super choreographed like a dance routine. So if they miss a spot, they go back and try that spot again. And it looks ridiculous. And they do their steps, like you just said, step, step, step. And it's very obvious what they're doing.
Nia Jax with the worst chair shots in history.
Mhm.
That made even Hogan's look good. So that yeah, it was yeah.
That was brutal. So send your angry cards and letters to me, but I'm right and you're wrong.
Hey, I wanted to bring up some talking about you're saying about saying the truth. How about some not truth? And that would be one of Moose's favorite subjects here. We're going to go a little bit of hobby talk here. How about the wonderful fake stamps that are going around all over the place with belts?
Vatanza pointed something out about that today. Vatanza, you want to engage, indulge? I thought it was a good point.
Yes. So I told you guys I find it ironic. Ever since they announced the Legacy Reggie Parks collection belt, and they said a stamp would be on the leather. You see a lot of makers coming out with the stamp on the belt. You saw, oh my God, what is his name? Oh, R-Lab, Rogers Leathers and Belts, had a Reggie Parks stamp on his leather. Then we find out Muhammad Luckman of Royal Belts had a J-Mar stamp. It's just weird that once that Legacy belt collection was announced and it fell flat on their face, when it happened, the announcement did with them, and they put, hey, there's going to be a stamp on the end of the leather. All these makers, you see it
And they
popping
didn't say
up.
what stamp it would be.
No, they didn't. But here's the thing, yes, a pattern is starting, and I mean, I think we can all agree, no matter what they say, that belt is being made in Pakistan. It is not being made in Australia.
I know it is.
So it's just ironic how it's happening.
Well, and here's the thing too. Oh no, it fell apart hard.
It's an expensive boot. Just
It's an
call it what
expensive
it
boot.
is.
It's a high quality boot. Here's the thing. I do know that I can tell you this for a fact because one of the makers told me that the people involved in the Reggie Parks Legacy Collection absolutely reached out to a Pakistani maker with the Reggie artwork and asked, "Hey, can you make this stamp?" Okay, so that stamp was made, from my understanding, at the behest of the Reggie Park Legacy Collection people. And the thing is, when you hand one person in Pakistan the art,
Oh,
that art goes around the marketplace, and now everybody's got it. And I'll say this too: why is Mike sitting in the dark? I don't know.
well, because I'm afraid of Smurfs. That's why.
Fair enough. And so what I'm saying is, correct, they haven't been, but eventually a good maker is going to get a hold of the stamp. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. That Reggie Parks Legacy Collection, I will tell you right now, I believe with all my heart and soul, was supposed to have a Reggie Parks stamp on it, but the launch that happened on the podcast they were on was such a disaster that they had to backtrack. And I don't care what anybody says, by the way, because I know I got a lot of heat for saying that, baby.
There you go. Yes. Make sure
I
to
know,
steal from makers too. No.
correct, $3,500. Dude, these are real Reggies. I paid $4,000. I'm going to pay $3,500 for a boot Reggie?
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense. But here's the thing about that, and people are like, "Oh, you got a problem with these guys?" I don't have a problem with them. I don't have a problem with Groovy G, or I like Colin. But here's the problem: you overpromised and underdelivered, and there's only 5 left. They do this exclusive thing, right? Only one per customer. I mean, nobody's buying 2, bro. But that's to make you get afraid, and I don't want to miss out on this. You could buy a regular Reggie for about $4,000. Why the would you buy a boot
Mhm.
for $3,500? And the fact is, I don't care what anybody says, and I'm not shading the show. God bless them. Have a great show. Do your thing. But that show that they were on was not a hard hitting interview platform. It was an infomercial. They had designs like the Legacy Collection is coming, and all these vignettes. That's not. If I interview a senator or a congressman, I don't have vignettes about the senator or congressman before I do the interview. I'm going to ask tough questions. When you set it up, when you show the vignettes, and this is just podcasting advice, take it or don't. When you set it up with vignettes, nobody's going to believe that you're asking hard questions. And the fact is that the hard questions that were asked came from the chat. Now, they asked them on the show, to their credit, but that's where the hard questions came from. They came from the chat. That was supposed to be a promotion. Now, here's my guess. My guess is that one of those hosts already placed an order for this belt and wants to feel like he didn't make a huge mistake and wants to promote it as like this great thing. So he said, "Look at this great thing I have." And it will be a great thing. It'll be a great boot. But you can get the plates the same place they're getting them from, which is ORM, get American leather, and get that whole thing wrapped up for $1,500.
And let's not also forget the fact that we knew, because again, we had talked to people involved with this situation, that I don't know if these plans are still in place, but there were at least at one point plans to also make a classic WWF Intercontinental with the
They
WWF
showed it in the vignette.
WWF logo on it. Yeah. So this one was only limited to 5, and we're only doing it. Get the hell out of here.
If it's only limited to 5 and it's such in demand that you can only do 1 per customer, why the fuck ain't it sold out yet?
Like, they said months ago that
Correct.
they were going to do a Reggie Parks, belt. So it was nothing new. Like,
No.
you knew what was going to happen. But, like, just call it what it is. It's a high-end bootleg. That's all it is.
But you're overcharging for it. Listen, I don't care what anybody tells me. These are OMI plates. Adam Gibbons is not defending it with the fire of his life because they're not OMI plates. They're OMI plates on American leather, and they're going to look great.
Now,
But
the belt looked amazing. I'm not
But they're a
shitting.
boot.
I can hit up CS $1,500 for that same belt.
Correct. Or Alianis.
Yes.
I know an American maker right now who has the artwork
Mhm.
who will do it for me at a fraction of that price. So
But like it felt like, Groovy was like basically like shitting on any regular collector of belts. Like it was like, oh, only if you can have, only if you could buy $5,000 of belts, you can afford this. Like
I assure you, I can afford it. Reggie, I can afford it.
Mhm.
I'm just, I got a C4 in the other room. I got a Classic Shields Premium
Mhm.
Big Gold coming next week. I can afford it, and I would have got it. But again, if I can get a Reggie for 4,000, why am I paying 3,500 for a boot? Now, if it was 2,500, I probably would have bought it. And if it was presented as, hey, this is a high end boot, guys. We have the
Yeah,
great
with
artwork.
Reggie art.
Yeah, going to be great leather. It's just a high end boot. If it was presented that way, and it wasn't as condescending as these guys are saying here, which is it's only for real collectors.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't presented that way, yeah, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Um, I would have been interested in it, but they're $1,000 over what it should be. First of all,
But again, like you said, if why buy a fake Reggie when you could buy a real Reggie for almost the same price?
for just about the same price.
Yeah.
So why am I getting a premium if I got the C4? I ordered it 3 years ago, and I still want the premium, and I want to do a side by side comparison of the C4 and the Classic Shields Chrome Run Premium, and we'll take a look. Can I show you guys the box? I showed you guys. Can I show the audience the box?
Well, it's your box. If you want to show it off to people, that's your business.
Correct, Stone Cold. Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Carmine's cousin said I could use the art on that box. Right?
Yes. My ex-girlfriend's roommate's cousin. So I'll just show one of the pictures just because I really like it. I gave them the idea for it, and then they came back with some ideas. We went back and forth, and this is what we landed on.
The dragon.
Yep.
Are you going to have a Steamboat nameplate?
Yeah, it's got a Steamboat nameplate, my nameplate, and Flair's nameplate. Now, I picked out the font for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I picked out the picture, but they found the picture with the autograph on it, and I said, you know what? They were cutting the autograph out. They just used the picture. And I said, you know what? No, let's keep the autograph on that shit.
Carmine's going to watch Chi-Town Rumble win that belt.
Hell yes.
You know what? I'm a fan of Steamboat. You're, Carmine, we know he's one of your favorites.
That's what I'm saying. Matt. Yeah.
People always bring up Steamboat's match with Savage at WrestleMania 3. They also bring up his feud with Flair's Chi-Town Rumble for the Big Gold Belt. To me, I loved him versus Stunning Steve in WCW, and also him versus Rude Beach Blast 92.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it took a while, Vinny. It took a while. That takes a while. Their chrome line takes a long time. C4 takes about 14 weeks. It's much different, and the C4 is gorgeous. No shade. I want to see them next to each other, and I plan on keeping both. But who knows? I might sell one, but I plan on keeping both. Yeah, those are great matches. Yeah, those are great matches. But he had a great match that almost everybody was in the ring with. Mike and I were talking the other day. I said, people talk about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, but there's so many different Mount Rushmores, right? Like, who was the best draw? Who was the biggest star? Who was the best wrestler? Who was the best promo? Like, there's a million Mount Rushmores you could do. But Moose, I'd love to get your opinion on this. I said, to me, you always hear the same names on Mount Rushmore. There's one you don't hear too often, but it's the guy I think had it all. And in my opinion, now, again, my two favorites of all time are going to be Savage and Bret Hart. That's it, period, end of story. Case is closed. But the guy who had it all, the look, the promos, the wrestling ability, and the high flying, all four tools. Macho Man Randy Savage. And that's why I think he's the best of all time, because he could do it all. Moose, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that first.
Thoughts on Savage? Thoughts on Mount
Thoughts
Rushmore?
on Savage being, I think, the best guy ever in the history of the business.
I think Randy gets a muddled retrospective. I think he is kind of pigeonholed in a lot of ways because he was such a WWF guy that when he went to WCW, everyone went, "Oh, he's just here for the money," which obviously. But as far as a Mount Rushmore, if you can't involve somebody like a Savage who obviously took to wrestling like a duck takes to water, you have to really look at who are you putting on your Mount Rushmore. Are you really understanding the aura, if you will, to take a modern term, that Savage had? Because everyone talks about aura, everyone talks about how Jade Cargill has aura, and then they talked about Sabu after he died and how he had aura before aura. If you really want to talk about an aura around somebody, Savage had aura. He had a presentation that was unlike anything anybody had ever seen. Now, granted, he took a lot of things from people. His ooh yeah,
Everest did.
yes. His ooh yeah, his look he took from Pompo Furpa.
Well, Hogan pretty much took all of Superstar's gimmick, the whole gimmick.
And Superstar took from Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
And it's just about how they repackaged it and kind of put their own twist to it. So as far as Savage being on a Mount Rushmore, if you're really going to talk about a true Mount Rushmore of wrestling, you do have to include Savage maybe on it or as an asterisk because of what he did. Now, somebody just said his insecurities, his behavior.
But what about, and this is the thing I would say what Brett, Savage, and Sean would all have, and I'd like to get your opinion on all of this too, guys, Mike and Joe. The one thing they would all have that maybe excludes them from the Mount Rushmore is the number one thing in wrestling, which is the draw. Could those guys sell out arenas like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Steve Austin, John Cena? The answer is no. Mike?
Well, here's the thing. I actually agreed with you for the most part on Savage. There is just one thing, though, I think that he has against him. One little asterisk there. And that's the fact, and we've heard this from multiple wrestlers who've worked with him over the years, is that he wasn't really able to call a match in the ring. If it came down to it, it had to be rehearsed and marked down to a T.
134 points in WrestleMania 30. WrestleMania 3, 130 something, 140.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm sorry to say it, the best workers of all time. I mean, again, I get the idea that we all know it's choreographed and all that shit, but sometimes things happen and you have to think on the fly, and that was not something Savage was known to do or be able to do. So I think that's a little bit of a knock against him.
But Matt, that's your personal guys, but those guys, again, Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, some of the greatest guys to ever step in a professional wrestling ring. But they're not selling out the Silver Dome. And that's my point. Batanza?
So with Savage, also, I want to say this about Steamboat, man. Imagine how better WrestleMania 2 would have been if you would have got Bret Hart versus Ricky Steamboat.
Like it was supposed to be, yeah.
Dude.
But with Savage, if you're talking like all the tools, like a 5-tool player, he's going to be up there. Because he could do it all, talk and everything. With Savage, I mean, you got to give it to him. He brung out the 2 best matches Warrior ever had.
Yeah.
But, he was, like Ricky Steamboat said, he was such a perfectionist, he would rehearse it, a match down. I remember asking a lot of people, like, hey, if you could bring back one wrestler from the old times to this era, who would you bring in? A lot of them say Savage.
Yeah.
Because of the flashy. But, Vince wanted his career to wind down in '94, wanted to make him a commentator. And, Savage's brother Lanny has said that Savage wanted to have a run with Shawn Michaels and put him
Yeah.
over and then retire to commentator. Vince said no. Savage probably was, I'm sure Savage was pissed about that and said, yo, if you don't think I could still do it, I'm going to show you. So he went to WCW and did whatever he did. But, in WCW, he put over DDP. He put over a lot of people, made him. DDP was getting to that point, but when he beat Savage at, I think it was Spring Stampede in '97, put DDP in that upper echelon. Savage can put.
WCW proved that he had a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, still had a lot. And
still very good in the ring.
He couldn't call the match, the report, like how you guys were saying. Remember Hogan saying this about him and The Rock at WrestleMania 18. He said they had everything planned. Then when they went out there in the first 30 seconds to a minute, the crowd turned. Guess what? They called it in the ring on the fly because Hogan's like, all right, this is going to change because they're cheering for me and booing for you. And the greats can call the match in the ring. They could just have a feel for it. I know CM Punk, John Cena have talked about that.
Yeah.
You just got to go out there and just feel it. Eddie Guerrero would do that. But Savage, man, as a 5-tool player, the charisma and everything, the work rate, his matches as well. It's got to be up there.
I remember a story Bret Hart told of in 1994, obviously before he left for WCW. They were overseas in Japan, and Bret was the main event for a particular evening was Bret defending the world title against Savage. And he said, Savage being Savage, they laid out this meticulous match and, 20-minute, classic, 25-minute, whatever stuff. He says, so they're backstage, they're in the dressing room going over some spots and stuff. And Blackjack Lanza comes in and he says, Vince says to Bret, Vince wants you to get one over quick on him. And he said you could see all the color drain from Savage's face. Like this is what you think of me. You just want this to be a quick, 1, 2, 3 match over and stuff. And Bret said he looked at Savage and he said, "The hell with that. We're going to do this match for the two of us." This a city they went out and had a 20+ minute 5-star classic. And he said Randy even got some color, which was unheard of for Randy Savage. That he bled. And he said it was funny. He said when they got back to past the gorilla or position or whatever you want to call it that was there in Japan, he says there's Blackjack Lanza with what do you call it, like a clipboard. And he says he gives them both a whack on the ass. Great job out there, guys. Great job out there, guys. As soon as he hits Savage, he said Savage turned around, pointed right at him, and said, "Shove that up your ass, Lanza." Because of the way he felt that, so he felt completely disrespected by Vince in the WWF by that point. So
when Vince needed a champion in '92, he gave it to Savage. Hogan was stepping away. Yeah. Hey, you could rely on Savage.
He said you can count on me like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So I love Randy Savage. I think that just at that day and age, you had to be a monster to draw, and I think that was the issue for him.
I think he should be considered one of the greatest IC champions of all time.
Oh God, yeah, easily.
I don't think in his heyday 88. I consider his heyday 88, 89.
I would say it started in 85, but
it did. And
you're talking about the peak.
Yeah, like the big pop. But the whole monster thing, the whole big guy thing had kind of come and passed at that point. Because if you looked at the landscape of wrestling at that point, you still had people like Flair, you still had people, and Sting was a body, but you had people like that in that main event. You had Dusty Rhodes in that main event position.
Yeah, but NWA was always a different animal. They never had to have a monster guy.
No, I'm just saying that if WWF at the time had not looked at Hogan as their prototype, who would have been the next realistic person?
Savage.
Exactly. So he really is and forever will be somebody that I guess unless you're like Carmine and he's your favorite, he'll get overlooked because a lot of people don't think of him as that main event person outside of that first run with the title. He then loses the title, has this kind of like mental break, brings in Sherry, and then for like the
The
year
Macho
ish,
King work was great stuff. Though.
Oh,
I'm
that's
getting
my
there.
favorite. It's my favorite Macho.
That yearish time between title run and Macho King, he was I don't want to say lost, but he was always a constant kind of blip on the radar. And then when he got Macho King, he completely
Reinvented.
reinvented, retook ownership of what he was doing and made it his own.
So
Because
you got
that's
to look at. There's been a lot of kings, right? Who did it better? I would say the top three are. I think it's easy. Is in no particular order: Savage, Lawler, and Harley. Piper, I think, could have carried the company, Vinny. If he was the top face, I think he's the one guy that could have stepped in and been Hogan if they didn't have Hogan. And I think he should have had a run with the belt. I think Piper should have had a run with the belt. Great heel. They weren't monsters, no, but they fed the Hogan machine, and so it worked to that end.
But everybody wants a Macho King crown. Like I want one.
I have
Like,
one.
yeah.
I think you
Like-
could still get one if you talk to Sean Manchester. He might be able to make more. It's unbelievable though, and they're making
Talking
another
to
one.
CS,
Somebody
I'm
else is
talking
making-
to CS right now about one as well.
I don't know what they charge, but I mean, Sean was charging $400. It's officially licensed,
Yeah.
and I'm getting the scepter from them.
CS was
Bulletproof
a
Studio.
little bit lower.
Really,
Just gonna say.
I'm shocked. But this is officially licensed, and you got Bulletproof Studios. The Bulletproof
Mhm.
Studios are making the scepter as well, and they just came out with the ice cream bars, the Macho Man ice cream bars statues, which are really cool. So definitely check out Bulletproof Studios. They are good people there. Sean Manchester runs it. Great guy. And they're just doing incredible things. I want to get his Skeletor costume at some point. So I got a jet, guys, because, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, my girlfriend was volunteering in Texas, and she's having a tough night, and I want to be with her, and kind of just talk her through this. Like I said, she's having a really tough night there, and she's volunteered 2 days in a row. If you guys would like to continue, please feel free.
I'm gonna jet too because I have some stuff to do.
I should have
Okay.
worn my Savage Roots of Fight shirt tonight.
You
Yeah.
got to send me the link to that. I love Roots of Fight.
So
I'm
that
going to
one
go
was-
watch classic Great American Bash on WCW Vault. What?
that
Yeah. So we
shirt
talked
was
this Great American
50% off.
Bash. What was it? 88.
Yep.
Mhm.
None of these guys could get it last week on Peacock except for me. I was
I
the
got
only one that
Now
didn't get
Moose can, but Joe and I are still locked out.
it. You still don't have it.
It's on WCW Vault, as is 86 Greensboro and Charlotte, and the entire most complete version,
Only starts at season 2.
and the most complete version of 85, the very first bash, is on
They
WCW
can watch
Vault.
it on YouTube if they want to see it.
1989, season 2.
See, mine starts at season 2 also, but it's 88.
Yeah.
That before we all go, that just makes me ask the question: how long has WCW sat on these classic bashes and done absolutely nothing with them?
Well, WWE now, but yeah.
Yeah, WWE Network, whatever.
So if Mike wants to see this and Joe wants to see this tonight, they want to see 88, they can go to YouTube, WCW Vault.
They got a WCW vault. I know they got a WWE vault.
I'm
They
going to
have
say
a
this. It's about 88 real quick, and then I do have to go. I'll say it's about 88. I told Mike this. There was not a lot of matches on that card, but every single match on the card was a banger. Every
It
one.
was.
There was not one stinker on the entire card.
Yep. And Thursday, WWE Vault is releasing a Omni show featuring Piper, Iron
Oh.
Sheik, and Ravishing Rick Rude.
Who was it? Piper who?
Piper, Iron Sheik, and Rude.
Oh, I got to see that. When that pops, please send a link to chat. I want to see that. All right. So, guys, we are the OGs. I will say to you again, please pray for Texas. Please pray for the first responders, the victims, the volunteers, the families. Please don't buy views. You're not fooling anybody. You're just wasting your money. Please don't use fake stamps.
Go watch Great American Bash wherever you can find it.
Yes. And next week, I want you guys in the audience, I want you to think about it. Next week, us too, okay? I want you to think of your Mount Rushmore wrestling if you include everything. And here's the everything. This is homework for the audience, homework for the crowd. Promo, look, wrestling ability, and drawing power.
Overall drawing power or in their heyday?
In their heyday.
Okay.
In their heyday. You can't judge them by today's numbers. It's not fair. So drawing power in their heyday. And you combine all those things together and give me your top 4 of all time. Not your favorite 4 of all time. Your top, or you might hate them. You know, I hate to see their matches. Your top 4 of all time if you combine all those things I just said. So, with that being said, Moose.
I am the Moostodon Cuckoo Cuckoo. He's a bald bastard.
Fair.
That's Charlie Brown. Apparently, this guy kind of, I can't point that well, whatever. Mike has Smurf tits. I don't know what that is. That sounds like something in Carmine's Google search history. We're the OGs. You're the crowd. We do this every week. Hasta la bye-bye. We'll see y'all later.
We love you guys. God bless you. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, we ready. This is for the warriors. Blood on the mat, sweat on my skin. I've been fighting for a win, don't need no gimmick. When the lights go down and the crowd starts to roar, I'm coming for the belt, man, I'm coming for more. The struggle's real, but the hustle's heavy. This ain't a game, it's a fight for the ready. We fight through the noise, breaking down walls. Every time we fall, we rise, stand tall. They talking, they hating, but we keep moving. Ain't no stopping the crowd, we choose it. Through the blood, through the pain, we living for the glory. Through the hurt and the shame, we fight through the noise, can't hear a thing. We making our moves, we own everything. Wrestle through pain, breaking all chains. This is our world, and we taking the reins. Rise up from the ashes, rise from the dirt, from the first bell ring to the final hurt. We fight through the noise, we won't be ignored. This is our story, we're taking the floor. Through the ropes, through the crowd, we don't quit. Ain't no fear when you're fighting with grit. Body slam, then we stand, take the blow. A real champ knows when it's time to grow. Tearing up the ring, tear up the